How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of time. If one only remembers to turn on the light.
It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
Much that lovers never really leaves.
Working hard is important, but there's something that matters, believing in yourself. If they can do it, why not us?
Hey everyone, welcome to Hogwarts, a podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hogwarts, a podcast. We are covering Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Act 1, Scenes 12 through 15. We have Elizabeth on.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Jenn.
Hey, guys.
So we're having Elizabeth on a lot because she's really fresh to this material. She hasn't actually read this at all before. So if you're wondering why she's on so much, that would be why.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've seen the play. I did get to do that, but I found out that since we saw a shortened version, there's about 90 minutes worth of content that I did not consume. So I'm interested to see what those scenes are.
Yeah, definitely some differences from the original London production to the Chicago production that we saw.
They shortened it down.
Yeah. Jenn, you do have some prior experience actually reading Cursed Child.
Yes, I read Cursed Child first when it came out, and then I saw it a couple years ago on Broadway.
It's nice, since we are all on, the three of us, to say that we have recently visited the Harry Potter store in Chicago. And we just want to kind of give our thoughts and reactions to just visiting that shop. And I'll kick it off with, I was impressed.
Yeah.
I thought it had some different things that I hadn't seen before from a Harry Potter store. And to fill everybody in, I've been to the Wizarding World in Orlando, and I've been to London, the Warner Brothers Studios. So I've gotten a couple of different vibes.
Didn't you see a Harry Potter store, like, abroad, too, in
Belgium?
Yeah, wasn't it?
When I was in Belgium recently, there was actually quite a few Harry Potter stores, which took me off guard a little bit, but it was really cool to see the enthusiasm for Harry Potter abroad in that country. This store in Chicago had some different, unique things that I think took us all a little by surprise, and we're like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. I don't know. Elizabeth, what did you think?
I really liked it. I ended up getting a keychain that was the hourglass for Ravenclaw because I thought that was cool. So I have another Harry Potter keychain to put on my school keys, which is fun. I thought they decorated it really well. I really liked the flying books hanging from the ceiling. And I liked trying the different, like, desserts that they had, which we can talk about our thoughts on those in a second.
Yeah, I liked it. I've been to the Harry Potter store in New York, and it's a very different vibe, which I really appreciated because it didn't feel like they were trying to just cookie cutter, copy paste the New York store into Chicago. And I actually thought it was, like, fairly different in terms of both the merchandise that was offered and the decorations. So some of the things were the same. So, like, the flying books are in the New York one as well as the Chicago one, but a lot of the other decoration is unique to the Chicago store, and then New York also has, like, their own spins on things.
Does the New York one have the Goblet of Fire as, like, a centerpiece, or is that Chicago only?
It's Chicago only.
Oh, that's cool.
There isn't a goblet. I don't recall there being a Goblet of Fire in the New York one, but there's, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but, like, there's more of a reference to Diagon Alley. It's actually really cute.
Okay.
When you go on the elevator, because the New York one is laid out very vertically. There's 3 floors, or, like, 2.5 floors.
Okay.
For the New York one. The Chicago one is laid out horizontal. So for the New York one, when you go on the elevator, you're actually like using flue powder.
Ooh.
So like they have the exterior decorated as a fire, and then when you go inside, it's all green.
Very cool.
And they have like a whole room dedicated for Quidditch too, which I know you'll really enjoy. So it was nice to see them take it and do something different and just make it so it's not like, oh, you've been to one, you've been to them all. Like, I really liked the Goblet of Fire in the middle. I liked that there were sound effects.
Now that I think about it, like, there was a lot of Goblet of Fire decorations, because there was that mermaid, like, stained glass thing in the front.
And the eggs everywhere.
The eggs, a lot of the Triwizard, like, the Triwizard Tournament Cup trophy was around.
Even outside in the windows, which I don't know if you're familiar.
The displays are really cool.
If you're familiar at all with Chicago's very big on their window displays, which started with Marshall Field's, which is now Macy's. But window displays were always the thing. You have to go see the window displays. But even now that you say that, the window displays, the Hufflepuff one specifically has Cedric Diggory, the true Hogwarts champion.
Yeah. They have a little icon in the top left corner of that window that talks about the Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah.
Which we're just discovering this fact now as we're talking it out.
This is the theme of the Chicago story.
Clearly, it seems
the Goblet of Fire. That's so cool. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the Quidditch and the Triwizard Tournament, I particularly liked the artwork that they featured in the store. They had some unique art prints that were limited edition. So I think some prints are about 1,000. Some are a little bit more limited in like 250, 500, something like that. And some of them are signed by the artist, which are more limited prints. I think they call them premium prints. They are a little pricey, so there is that. But it's really cool artwork that I'm sure we'll get up on our Instagram at some point. So please check us out there at Hogwarts-a-Pod.
Dan may or may not have bought a travel-inspired one.
There was a piece that particularly spoke to me. It hit on my nerd interest, it hit on my sports interest, and it hit on my travel interests. So I could not ignore it. So I did purchase it. But it is a pretty cool store. Yeah. I enjoyed walking around.
It was really busy. It honestly felt like being in Universal Studios with how many people there were.
There's quite a line.
Yeah, we had to wait in line to get in.
Granted, we're doing this on a weekend, so we went on a Saturday. So, I mean, that probably influences the crowd. Mm-hmm. The line does move fairly quickly. I don't think we were standing in line for more than 20 minutes.
No.
So, now you wanted to talk about the dining experience that they have inside of the shop.
Yeah, which looks nice, too, because there's, like, a whole wall of, like, barrels that are supposed to be the butterbeer barrels, and there's the black stone that is, like, resembles the Ministry, right, in the movies. But yeah, they had a nice system going with pulling butterbeer. You could get it either regular or the frozen. Dan tried the frozen this time, right? You said it was
I've tried both.
Nice
I enjoy the frozen more. It's like a butterbeer slushy in a sense.
We got a decent amount of desserts just to try them. We had a snitch sugar cookie, which looked cool because it had sparkles on it. I enjoyed that. There was a sorting hat where they kind of did this fudgy coating on it that was really cool because it was 3D, like the sorting hat face. And then we got the Harry Potter birthday cake, and we split that because it was a decent size to share with people. I liked the sugar cookie the best.
Yeah, I think we all enjoyed our time visiting the shop. So if you're in Chicago, maybe make a trip over. It's also, for those coffee nuts, it's actually not that far away from the big Starbucks store that we also have.
It's a block down.
Yeah, so it's super close to that. But yeah, if you're spending a night or a weekend in Chicago, maybe check it out. We do have a couple of shout-outs. Actually, we have one shout-out for one individual who commented a couple of times. And that individual is Bungzilla. The first comment they left was on Deathly Hallows, Chapter 33, The Prince's Tale. Now, this comment is actually in response to a previous comment that was left on the chapter, and that comment was from Drea. And just to spark everybody's memory about what Drea had said, and I'll paraphrase, Drea said, Snape joined the equivalent of the Nazi Party, and he was the head Nazi's #1 guy. Not sorry, that's a bad person. He didn't switch sides because he disagreed with Voldemort's war against Muggles. He only changed to save his childhood crush. Maybe he got there eventually, but we don't really see a change of heart. So, in response, Bungzilla says, definitely agree with your point. My only opinion on it would be that Snape technically helped avoid more deaths and probably helped avoid an early attack on Hogwarts. His quote-unquote ownership over the Elder Wand was kind of a flawed plan, but nonetheless helped keep the wand's true abilities locked up. So, thank you for the comment. Yeah, he had a really tough job as headmaster of Hogwarts.
Under Voldemort's rule.
During Voldemort's rule with the Carrows as teachers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot more damage could have been done. We pointed out the idea of Ginny, Neville, and Luna getting just a detention in the Forbidden Forest for breaking into his office.
It could have been so
That could have been
worse.
bad.
Yeah.
So I think he did try to mitigate the collateral damage as best as he could.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminded me of in World War II when they used the Enigma machine to crack the German code.
Mm-hmm.
They had the ability then to tell when attacks were coming. And they had to make a decision, is it more valuable to not show our hand and let some innocent people die in order to try to win the war than it is to immediately use this information on something that's relatively smaller in the scale of war and give up their hand. And I feel like that's kind of the analogy to Snape here.
Yes, I would agree. That's a lot of, I think, what Albus and Severus's game was.
A lot of calculating.
A lot of calculating and taking risks where they thought it was necessary and then pulling back when they're like, we could afford a little. I mean, he even told Severus, hey, in this battle, you're going to have to be convincing.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be convincing. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
So it might seem a little outrageous, but there was a point when Snape was playing the game.
Yeah.
So
this is, do you win the battle or do you win the war?
Right. Mm-hmm. For sure. So thank you to Drea and Bungzilla for the comments. And Bungzilla did leave another one on Cursed Child, Act 1, Scene 5 to 7. The worst feeling is getting through the podcast all caught up, but I loved every minute of it.
Aww.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for working hard to binge your way through this. Not sure how long it took you, but thank you very much. Sticking with us through all of these episodes and all of these takes. We appreciate the comment. We hope that you comment more going forward. Give us your thoughts and ideas. And you can do so by leaving a comment on Spotify. You can also participate in the polls that are on Spotify. If you want to reach out to us via social media, you can find us on Blue Sky, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube, all at Hogwarts-a-Pod. So we'll all continue to post on those and try to alert you to when we're having episodes, since we're a little bit more infrequent now that we've finished the original 7 books. So thank you all for sticking with us as we continue our journey in the wizarding world. Before we actually get to Act 1, Scene 12, I did want to get Jen's thoughts on her original Cursed Child thoughts before this reread.
So after it came out, I was excited that there was a new Harry Potter installment. I remember reading it. I don't remember reacting as strongly. So when I read it, I didn't read any fan reaction to it. I went into it completely blind. And I'm a little bit more, I think, patient with some aspects of things. So I didn't have as strong of a reaction to all of the different scenes. But there were a couple of times that I remember reading it and having to put it down because it just felt, I don't know if it felt rushed or just poorly written. I just couldn't immerse myself in it. I was really struggling to immerse myself with it. And then years go by. I went to see it on Broadway a couple years ago, and I didn't reread it before that, but when I saw it on Broadway, I was like, I really like this. It's a really good production. It didn't feel poorly written when I was watching it. It felt a little bit more like, okay, I can get behind some of this. I thought the effects in it were really good. I thought it did a good job as a play.
I think that's a common thing that a lot of Harry Potter fans feel.
Yeah.
I think they also did a good service when writing it of thinking of the magic and how do we portray magic. Let's make sure we really plan it out carefully because the magic has to be convincing in order to get the fans on board. So I think when you watch it and you see the cool effects that they do, it really does immerse you into the wizarding world.
There's actually a couple of scenes that we're going to go over today in this episode that I feel give the vibe of this is clearly written for a stage production and just how it's organized, how it's set up, and how it's delivered. And we'll kind of get into those details as we go. So, safe to say that you, as a reader and then as a patron of the actual stage production, the opinion did shift.
Yeah, I had two very different reactions to the same material.
All right. So we start off this with Act 1, Scene 12, and we are in the Ministry of Magic, specifically in the Grand Meeting Room. Hermione and Harry are on stage, surrounded by many witches and wizards, which include Ginny, Draco, and Ron. I do have a question on this setup. Do you think this is a crowd of just particularly important witches and wizards that have like a role to play in the greater wizarding world? Or do you think this is more of an open town hall forum where just anybody can attend?
I would hope it would be a town hall.
I got that vibe initially. Once we get into the actual scene, I'll describe why I think maybe this was a closed door meeting of just some important individuals, but we'll get there. Hermione begins this meeting by silencing the crowd and noting that there has been a prolonged peace in the wizarding world since the Battle of Hogwarts. Until now. Harry speaks on recent updates concerning Voldy's allies, noting that trolls have been moving across Europe, giants crossing the seas, and werewolves are starting to disappear from the Ministry's view. These are concerning. He is unsure who is encouraging this movement, but there certainly is undeniable movement. He also calls for an open forum on asking about any tips or any information, anything odd that anybody's seen or noticed. Anything can be helpful.
Which, question for you guys. If you had the government been open sourcing for details, would that make you feel better because you're like, I'm getting involved with the decision-making process and I can help? Or would it make you be like, I am losing confidence in my leaders because they clearly don't know things that they should be knowing?
I actually am okay with it.
Okay.
And here's why. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, they used to have a program on called America's Most Wanted. And essentially the premise was, hey, this is a story, this is an individual, they are wanted by either local police or the federal government for committing very serious crimes. Mm-hmm. If you see anything, or if you see anybody,
call a tip line.
Please call. Mm-hmm. Those alerts still happen. If you drive down the highway, they'll do Amber Alerts, and they'll do all kinds of things being like, hey, let us know if you see something, and we can flag it.
Mm-hmm. I guess I would be a little less okay with it, only in the sense that I guess in my mind this feels much more of like a, we don't know what could be happening, so you should let us know what maybe you're seeing that could be happening, versus I feel like the America's Most Wanted example is much more of a definitive, like, we know this guy did it, we know he did something, we just need you to find him.
Question for you both. Do you think this is building on what we saw earlier in a couple of earlier scenes where Harry and Hermione do things differently? Hermione is a by the book, I want to know all the intel, detail by little tiny detail. And Harry is the opposite. He doesn't want the paperwork. He wants to hear it with his own two ears. He wants to experience it. He wants to be like, hey, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? I want to know what you know. I want to be on the ground. And do you think they had a meeting about how to present this? And Harry went out with like, hey, let's just get what the people are hearing. Do you think this is more of a Harry-led... I mean, obviously this is a Harry-led conference since he is the head of magical law enforcement at this point, and this is about law enforcement. So do you think Harry won out?
I could see that. I would just think that if Hermione did have more details or wanting to play it closer to the chest, maybe she would have...
Overruled?
Yeah.
I think with the goal of this press conference, if you want to call it that, you do have to have a balance of the two. Because if Hermione just comes out and says, like, there's a really big problem right now, it would cause panic. I think Harry being the one to say that Voldemort's allies have been on the move makes it feel more serious to the audience, just because it's like, it's Harry Potter. You know, he would be most tuned in to whatever Voldemort is or is not doing, and his allies are or are not doing. I think him asking the crowd for their input is a way to maybe downplay a little bit the whole I'm the boy who lived savior complex that people accuse him of having. Because it's like, well, clearly I'm not the only one with answers, so I will be willing to take in what any quote-unquote normal person sees or experiences and consider that with my decision-making. But that's a fine line to have to balance. Because you don't want to cause panic, but you want information to be shared, but you don't want to look incompetent.
If we are taking this in the context of this is exclusive to the Ministry of Magic, if it's a town hall or just a meeting of important wizards in the Ministry of Magic, this is still just within the government. So it's not like this is getting broadcast to like the public as a whole.
Correct.
So I feel like then you run a little bit less of a risk of maybe panicking people.
Well, that is exactly why I asked the question at the beginning of, is this an open town hall? Because to your point about Hermione, I don't know that Hermione is going to want to plaster this all over everywhere and potentially cause a panic. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's conversations that need to be had if you're seeing troubling signs. Yeah. So do you pull together some important witches and wizards and be like, hey, look, we have a potential problem gathering. I'm going to be a more open minister, and we'll get to Hermione's thoughts on that later. But, hey, we might need help on this. If this is truly Voldy's forces moving, it's not going to be just me. It's not going to be just Harry. We're going to need a group effort.
Coming from a corporate mindset, I feel like it's better when you involve everybody in it. If it's like an all hands on deck situation, I think it's better if you're honest with people and you tell them what they should be looking for and reporting to you, especially if you emphasize to them that it should be internal only. At least in the experiences that I have had in the corporate world, I've had similar meetings where the expressed thing is like, we need your help doing something. It's never given me pause to doubt my company's leadership. It actually makes me feel more like they trust me.
It builds unity.
That. Right.
Camaraderie.
So if it's like a town hall in the Ministry of Magic, even if they're lower, level employees that are attending, maybe that's a similar feeling that they could have.
I like it. Well, we do get one particular individual who does raise their wand with some information, if you will. Professor McGonagall is in attendance. So you have the headmistress of Hogwarts. Obviously an important position in the wizarding world, so it makes sense that she might be included. Obviously she's meant a lot to Harry and Hermione's development, and she's obviously counseled them quite a bit. McGonagall says that potions stores at Hogwarts were interfered with over summer break. Specifically, boomslang skin and lacewing flies went missing, but nothing specifically on a restricted register, and not exactly in a large quantity. They ultimately blamed Peeves for it, but it's just something to note because it doesn't happen every summer where ingredients just go missing.
Did they not ask Peeves?
I don't think Peeves will give you a straight answer either way.
See, my thought was more, I know at least when Snape was in charge, he put spells on the private store of ingredients, and boomslang skin was in that store. And it was the kind of spell that a poltergeist wouldn't be able to crack. So either this new potions master is slacking with locking the door.
Hermione does say that they'll investigate the issue and continues with the gravest of news. Harry's scar is beginning to hurt again. Which, by the way, I love that that's the gravest of news, is Harry's scar is hurting again. Oh, man. The first news about the trolls and the giants was kind of like troubling, but I could shrug that off. Harry's scar is hurting again?
This also makes me wonder, I don't know if we know Rita Skeeter talked about his scar hurting back in book 4, and people being like, oh, is he addled in his mind or something? But I wonder how much post-Voldemort information has come out of Harry being like, yeah, I had moments when my scar hurt, and I felt Voldemort, and we connected. like, is that some information that you would reveal to the public, or if not the public, the Ministry?
It seems like Harry has done quite a few interviews since the Battle of Hogwarts.
I just wonder if that's like, I don't know if that would be a fact that I'd want to share, just because it's like a normal person wouldn't necessarily understand that, and I don't know if maybe the medical wizards would believe that that's a thing, you know?
Well, to be fair, he was a unique specimen. With the Avada Kedavra killing.
But that's why I wonder if like people would actually believe his thoughts or his comments on that.
He may not even be the one that came out and said it, because he used to have scar pains in front of people.
True.
So it may not take much for anyone doing a biography on Harry to interview a couple people that went to Hogwarts with him, and they're all like, yeah, I used to clutch his forehead a lot and fall over.
That story could have gone wild, and then he'd either have to confirm or deny,
right.
And he probably just said, it's not worth the trouble, I'll just confirm it and move on.
True. Yeah.
But
it gets a reaction, though.
It gets a reaction, particularly from Draco, who immediately says, Voldy is dead, Voldy is gone. And Hermione does agree with Draco, yes, Voldy is indeed dead, but suggests that the remnants of Voldy may be back, which also gets a reaction from the crowd. Mm-hmm. And Harry openly asks if any of those with a dark mark who are here in attendance have felt anything. Any twinge, any pain, any signal or sign whatsoever. Which, to be fair to
it's a
anybody...
Good question.
It's a good question, yes. And it's a fair question to ask. It is. For the safety of the wizarding world, it's a fair question to ask. However, it's a personal question that I don't know should be asked in a public forum. I think you might want to bring those individuals in and be like, hey, we're just getting some troubling signs. We're not accusing you or anyone else of anything, but we need to know what's going on.
My question with this more, could there be anyone other than Draco in the crowd with the dark mark? The inner circle is the one that gets the tattoo, and the inner circle would be the ones who would be in Azkaban.
If Draco is truly the only one there with a dark mark that they're aware of, even more so, you should pull him aside and not try to single him out in front of a crowd. That's not going to go over well.
No, I think the only logistic reason why that wouldn't be is because it's a play and it's a stage thing, and there's still more audience, like Wizarding World audience in this crowd that needs to happen, reaction-wise. But several of them would be dead. They're older. The rest should be in Azkaban.
To your point,
Draco was the youngest, and he did things as a youth under duress. So would he be imprisoned for his actions? Probably not.
To your point, Dolohov is not going to be at this meeting.
Right.
Like,
we know Nott is not going to be at the meeting. He just got arrested.
McNair is not going to be at this meeting. Like, there are some people that are just not going to be here. So, even more so to my point of, if this is just Draco in this room...
He should have pulled him aside.
Why are you calling him out in the room? Which, Draco, then, literally offended, says Potter is back to being prejudiced against those with a dark mark, and accuses Harry of then wanting his name back in the papers. He also accuses Ginny of using her position at the Daily Prophet in an advantageous way. Which Jenny then retorts, look, I'm the editor of the sports section. Like, I have no That's not my realm, okay? And then Draco continues by accusing Hermione of only being the minister because she's friends with Harry.
I wonder if to a degree Draco thought that Harry was singling him out in this way as if you're feeling anything, you should feel the pressure of the crowd to say something, because if you don't, and I'm saying my scar hurts, and you're feeling something, then this whole crowd could turn on you because you're withholding information that could be valuable and save us all. I doubt that was Harry's actual intention with doing that. I think you're right that it was just a poorly, act of desperation of, please, someone give me information if you have it. Anyone with the dark mark? The one person in the crowd with the dark mark? What are you feeling these days? But I understand why Draco got offended.
I don't blame Draco for being offended at all. Mm-hmm. I think he's very justified in being offended here. Whether or not the question was legitimate, which I think it is a legitimate question.
Agreed.
I still think he's justified in being angry at being singled out here, potentially. He does take some really interesting shots here, though. One at Harry, obviously, for wanting his name in the papers, which Harry could probably shrug off because he's probably had that accusation a time or two. Ginny, which, whatever, you could shrug that one off too because I think it's a little far-fetched. But the one he takes at Hermione, I think, might be a low blow because, and before I even state this, I'm going to make this very clear. Hermione is certainly capable of doing the job of Minister for Magic. She's capable, she's smart enough, she's talented enough, she's responsible enough. She has earned that title, no doubts. Mm-hmm. Very clear, right?
Yes.
That being said, there are going to be people in the wizarding world that look at her and look at her friendship with Harry Potter, who, by the way, is also in an important position in the Ministry of Magic, and be like, hey, are you really here because of your own merit?
Right.
Or are you here because you are a best friend of the boy who lived?
I mean, that's an unfortunate reality of any woman in power, is there's always the questioning of how did you get there? What did you do to get there?
He hits on a real note.
It's a real nerve to touch upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he knows that, though, and that's why he's going there.
Yeah, this one, again, Harry can shrug off that little shot, and I think Ginny can shrug off hers. Hermione, though, might be like,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, she might have a little fire behind that. I'm sorry, I deserve this role. Thank you very much.
I do think if Draco was called out for that in a less heated moment, then he might come to terms with it and maybe apologize. Adult Draco seems to be more mature than child one was. But we know his motivation here is, if we're saying that Voldemort might be back, the rumors have been all about Scorpius and him being the child of Voldemort. So you saying to a crowd that your scar hurt is just going to add more fuel to the flame, and that's going to make my child's life difficult. And my job as his father is to protect him from such things. So I need to squash this as quickly as possible by throwing doubt into the fray.
I fully agree with all of that. Mm-hmm. I'm actually on Draco's side in this. I don't think he handles it well. He's basically backed into a corner. He's lashing out at people, and he's not actually addressing the real issue until he finally says he's concerned about how it's going to affect his son, and then he storms off. But I agree with his underlying premise that, yeah, this is concerning to him. As a father, if I was a parent, I would be incredibly concerned about my kid, and I would want to fight for my kid, and I would want to try to convince people to help my kid, and thus far, doesn't seem like that's happening. So, I mean, I feel bad for the guy.
Draco's in an interesting position here, because clearly, for actually having a dark mark, he's still allowed in the Ministry of Magic. He's still allowed a prominent role in Wizarding Society. So clearly, whether it's Harry vouching for him at some point, which ultimately is your get-out-of-jail-free card, literally.
Literally it is.
So, Harry knows Draco wasn't a quote-unquote true believer. He was made by force and by torture to do a lot of what he did with the Dark Mark brand.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the Wizarding world, even though he's branded, and that is a dark brand that's a black mark on you in society, I wonder if the Wizarding world is still aware that, hey, look, yes, Draco has the dark mark, but, he wasn't a willing participant, per se. So, he's in an interesting role. And he's probably getting a lot of blowback daily from every general person. He might not be getting blowback from Harry and Hermione and whatever, but the everyday person, he's probably getting blowback, and clearly Scorpius is getting blowback, secondary blowback.
Yep. And to be fair, even if time has passed and situations have changed and he's recognized, like, oh, my parents were not in the best organization they could have joined, like, there is still those remnants of we were rivals in high school. And those sometimes, I mean, I'm sure Draco's version of things was Harry was the best and I couldn't compete and I couldn't stand out and I couldn't be. Some of it, though, would still be lingering in him, and that's a hard thing to get over emotionally.
I think Draco's issues at school were not that Harry's the best. It's that people perceive him to be the best. I am just as talented. I am just as smart. I'm just in Slytherin. I'm just...
And my father doesn't give me the love as much, the attention as much. So I think seeing all that, knowing that, and then seeing how his own son is being treated, and I'm sure he has some emotional moments at home. Like, I'm sure all of this just bubbles up.
I think that's where Draco's rivalry comes from, though, with Harry. It's not so much that Harry is better, it's that he's perceived to be better, and Draco feels like, I am just as good.
No, that's what I mean, yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, that I don't think ever goes away, because as you go into adulthood, you're seeing him ascend to the second position at the Ministry of Magic, and you're Draco, and you're like, dude, I'm just as qualified. I just haven't, been in the position you have to succeed. I wasn't given that position.
Yeah. And it's easy to, after seeing that year after year after year, to start holding the grudge of, well, he only gets this stuff because he's Harry Potter, I'm
not saying I agree with Draco necessarily. I just say I can see it from his point of view.
Yeah. The other person I really feel for in this scene is Hermione. Because at the end, when Draco says, this meeting is a sham, and he storms off, and most of the crowd also disperses, Hermione's like, wait, we need to form a strategy here. This was the whole point of the meeting.
No, I agree with you. Hermione, I think, does get the short end of the stick a lot in this scene, because she's put in a terrible position. She's had some familiar claims thrown at her in a public forum again. And now she's literally having to herd cats to actually get a formal strategy together, which is, like you said, the point of the meeting. So it's a cool scene to open this part of the episode. We do get, before we head to break, another scene. We're going to go Act 1, Scene 13, and it is a short one. This is like a page and a half scene at St. Oswald's home for old witches and wizards. There's an interesting intro. So I'll just read the opening here because this is fantastic. This is chaos. This is magic. This is St. Oswald's home for old witches and wizards, and it is as wonderful as you might hope. Walker frames are conjured to life. Knitting wool is enchanted into chaos, and male nurses are made to dance tango. These are people relieved of the burden of having to do magic for a reason. Instead, these witches and wizards do magic for fun. And what fun they have.
This was one of the scenes we did not see. This was a scene that they trimmed out, and instead of having Amos Diggory being at this old home, it's him in his own house. So we didn't see any of this magic. But reading the description of it made me think, is there an age at which witches and wizards get their wands taken away from them? Because I feel like it's similar to like your driving license. Like maybe there's some danger in either not remembering a spell and then saying what you think the spell is, and we know misspeaking spells can create very different outcomes sometimes, or maybe you don't remember casting a spell and you continue to cast it, and then suddenly we have like 80 flamingos in this house. Like, we don't know what's going on. So I do wonder, like, the idea of them being in their dotage, like, what's the test to be like, can you still do magic responsibly?
Like what we talked about earlier in this episode, I feel like this scene screams stage play.
Yes.
Like, it literally sets the scene, and there's just stuff going on the stage.
Especially the male nurses doing the tango.
Yeah.
If you can work in some kind of dance, they're going to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this scene screams stage production. And it's just really easy. It's a nice transition. You can fix the set however you want while things are moving around. And you do have Scorpius saying that this place is wild. Albus asks for Amos Diggory. And then, of all this chaos, suddenly silence and stillness and a depressed feeling enters the stage. And what's described as a wool woman asks, what do you want with that miserable old sod? And Delphi, however you want to pronounce it, appears and says, Albus, you came. How wonderful. Come say hello to Amos. And that's where the scene ends. It's very quick.
I'm a little surprised by her greeting. Because she kind of greeted him as if she expected him to come. But he was never really invited to come. Also, she would know this is September 1st. Everyone knows September 1st means you should be in Hogwarts. You're going to Hogwarts.
Yeah, she doesn't seem initially surprised to see a child at all.
Yeah. No.
Which is
especially in a
nursing
alarming.
Home.
Well, I also didn't care for she's very over the top with him when she first meets him a few scenes ago. And I thought it was very strange, too, that she's like, I'm Delphine. Come visit us at this place.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I just met you.
She's extraordinarily extroverted and very enthusiastic.
Yes.
With Albus specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't seem to greet Harry with such enthusiasm.
Or Scorpius, really. She just kind of ignores him.
That's true, too. That's a good point. But that ends Act 1, Scene 13. So we'll take a little break, we'll reset, and we'll come back with Act 1, Scene 14 after the break. Before we get to our break sound, I'd like to acknowledge our friend Andy, who helps us produce our intros and our break sounds. If you want to hear more of Andy's work and like Formula One racing, check out the Outlap F1 podcast. It's your one-stop shop for Formula One news, insights, race previews, and reviews. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts, and they even have a YouTube page. So check out Andy, Cody, John, James, and Deanna, and join them on the Outlap.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
I love magic.
All right, so we are back with Act 1, Scene 14. And we are at St. Oswald's home for old witches and wizards, but now we have moved to Amos's room. And basically, Albus and Scorpius meet Amos Diggory and have a conversation with him here. Amos is irritated by Albus even overhearing what was to be a private conversation between him and his father, Harry. And even more irritated that Albus intends to interfere in said private discussion. Albus says that Harry lied to Amos and says that they have a time turner. Amos says, of course they have one. Please leave.
I love that. I know. Bye.
What use could undersized teenagers be? And Albus says, my father proved you don't have to be an adult to change the world. And I want to pause after that point in this conversation. There's still a bunch of conversation back and forth. But I want to take this snippet, and I want to get your opinions on Albus's vibe here, because Albus starts off with saying, Harry lied. My father lied to you, which is a harsh take, and I don't think you, as a 14-year-old, as a teenager, can really fully... Well, one, you shouldn't be saying that anyway. I feel like even at 14, I know you're young, but you should know you're stepping in the waters of something serious. your father is a high-ranking ministry official. This isn't like small game here. This is big deal. You should be aware of that, even at 14. And to just go to the leap of, oh yeah, my dad lied to you about this. There's a time turner. I don't want to be over dramatic and I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but that's borderline like treasonous to give like state secrets to someone. You know?
Let's also not forget that an hour ago was when he heard that there was a time turner, essentially, like an hour or so ago. He still does not have this confirmed that one exists. It's just a rumor.
Right. But then he switches his tone on Harry very quickly because he says, well, my father proved that even a young kid can change the world. So he starts off very negative with his father and then switches to a positive about his father to suit his own agenda.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that was an interesting flip. You hate on your father when you want to, and then you fluff up your father when you want to. Interesting.
There's a little bit of Slytherin coming out there.
I like that. Good catch, Jen.
Almost like he was put in the correct house.
Oh, almost like a Slytherin recognizes a Slytherin.
What you're pointing
you're
out,
right. I like it.
What you're pointing out is already starting to touch upon my problems with this scene. The character motivation for Albus starts off all over the place, and I feel like it continues to be all over the place, which we can see as we continue with the scene. I don't understand what the writers were really intending here.
Well, let's continue on. Amos says a Potter in Slytherin who brings a Malfoy, who may actually be a Voldy, who says you're not into dark magic. This screams dark magic to me. And he dismisses them again. He's like, please get out. Albus, this time with an air of power and strength in his voice, says, you said it yourself. How much blood is on my father's hands? Let me help you change that. Correct one of his mistakes, which Amos again dismisses flatly. So, Elizabeth, to your point here, he's switched again. He's insulted his father, complimented his father, and now insulted him even more harshly than the first time.
Well, it's like with the last episode that we did, I also struggled with Albus's character motivations, and I said the whole idea of getting off the train and going to see Amos and be like, yeah, let's save Cedric. I was like, is he trying to right one of his father's wrongs? And we kind of settled on the idea like, no, that's silly. He wouldn't do that. Here, he's flat out saying, I want to correct one of his mistakes. He literally, direct quote, help correct one of his mistakes.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so you want to do that. Is it more because you want to prove to Harry that he was wrong to not help Amos? Or is it you're like, I want to do this to prove to my father that I'm better than him? Is it you want to prove like, you were so wrong back then, you made a mistake, let me point out to your mistake? Because on the one hand, he seems to be so antagonistic towards his father, and then on the other hand, he flips to be like, he's almost like a hero, but he was flawed, and I need to come in and save the day.
Can I pose something that I literally just thought of as you were speaking? You're right. He seems conflicted on what he wants to say, and I think part of it is what Jen said. It's Slytherin coming out in him and him trying to manipulate the conversation to ultimately get what he wants, which is fine. The problem is, and to your point, Elizabeth, I don't know that he's 100% certain of what he wants. This strikes me as a kid who's gone through some stuff. He's depressed. He's alone. He's insecure. And I don't know. I think he's trying to grasp at straws to find a way to make himself feel whole
or important
or whatever you want to say. But I don't think he's zeroed in on what exactly can do that for him, and he's just grasping at straws.
Is he trying to prove that he should have been a Gryffindor?
I get that vibe a little bit.
But,
yeah.
But that could be a part of it. So everything that Elizabeth said and what you just said is, again, him trying to maybe find, like, something to fill a void in him.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he knows the answer on how to do that, but he's trying.
I completely agree with what you've said. And I completely agree with what you've said as well, because they're compatible things.
Right.
I'm going to distill it down then that this scene, for me, is what the problem is with this play.
Ooh, okay.
Because I don't think it's clear enough. This is where it starts to feel poorly written or poorly thought out or not fully conveyed what they're intending. Like, I don't mind things not being clear in books. Like, I'm not asking for something to be spoon-fed to me throughout all of this. But if we're sitting here debating something as simple as what his motivation is, that feels like something that maybe should have been
problem.
Right. That's a fundamental problem to, like, we should be able to at least understand where he's coming from. And, like, we're 14 scenes in, and we can't really come to a consensus of what's driving him. Because it does feel very sudden. It's an hour ago he finds out this thing. He doesn't have a strong reaction to it in the moment when Harry is talking to Amos.
Yesterday he rejected the blanket that his father tried to give him to be like, let's have a bond.
Right. Which, like, okay, to be fair, that was a pretty rough gift to give a teenager. But, like, he should have been a little bit more... I feel like there should have been a little bit more there than what there was. But he's completely all over the place. Mm-hmm. But we don't know what he's... He does know what he's doing, which is fine, but we don't even know what he's doing. We don't know what is driving him, and I think that's part of the, like, this doesn't feel fully fleshed.
I feel like the audience kind of can speak through Scorpius in these scenes, because Scorpius is like, wait, what are we doing? Oh, yeah. We're doing this? Do I want to do this? I don't know if I really want to do this. Why helping? Like, there's a lot of questions that I think if you are somebody who has read the whole series, you are more attuned to. If you're just a common, like, a casual viewer, I should say, then I think the play does a really good job of distracting you with the effects and the costuming and the music and anything that makes going to see a theater play worthwhile. But what you're more easily able to ignore the writing. But when all you have in front of you is the writing, then you can focus on it more. And it is like, I don't understand. Like, I get he's a teenager. I get teenagers are all over the place emotionally. But if this is the motivation for the plot, and the plot is going to advance with trying to find this time turner, apparently, and maybe go say Cedric, why do that? It's still really confusing to me.
So, before we move on to the rest of the conversation, I do want to double back on Albus's actual comment. How much blood is on my father's hands? To be fair, he's quoting Amos in an accusation that Amos made. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know that it's Albus's feelings exactly. He might be trying to coerce Amos into, again, giving Albus what he wants.
Yeah, he's just trying to manipulate him.
Which, again, seems to be Slytherin's house.
Doesn't have to be his actual feelings, because I think everybody, and I'm assuming even Albus would admit, like, it's kind of a ludicrous statement to make.
Yes.
Because that is just ludicrous on every level. Because obviously, Voldy has all of the blood on his hands.
Yes.
Every single ounce of it.
I'm sympathetic to Amos. He's got to be in a really hard place. To say it like that is outrageously...
It's purposely trying to get a reaction out of somebody.
It is.
Yes. I think that's where Albus is just saying that, just to put that particular statement into context. Mm-hmm. But Scorpius then basically announces his presence in this scene by saying, like, hey, look, Albus, we're not wanted. If there's one thing we know, it's when we're not wanted. Which, again, is a kind of indication of where they're at mentally, and their status in society is they're shunned. And they know it. They're well aware of their status of being dismissed.
I love Scorpius, though.
I do, too. He's really the MVP here.
At this point, Delphi speaks up and says, hey, look, uncle. They put themselves at risk to volunteer to help you. Plus, having someone at Hogwarts could be advantageous, right? Right? And Amos is like, okay, well, why would you want to put yourself at risk? And this is an interesting back and forth. Albus is like, I know what it is to be the spare. Again, playing on Amos's emotions of the idea of his son Cedric being a spare is always gnawed at him. So it's Albus kind of playing the room a little bit. Amos suggests that Delphi go with them. And Amos says, hey, look, this is going to be dangerous. And Albus goes, we know. Scorpius is like, do we know? Do we know?
We're ready to put our lives at risk. He's like, wait, are we?
Are we ready to
I didn't volunteer for this.
I feel so bad for Scorpius, who was just like 2 hours ago just thinking about like,
I need to go to school.
I'm going to have some chocolate frogs on the train.
Yeah, Scorpius is put in a really rough position here.
I feel bad for him. Albus, like, not to make such a heated comment, but Albus is being a terrible friend. Mm-hmm. Scorpius didn't want to get off the train. He didn't want to talk about time turners. He saw that was a particular conversation that, causes him issues and a lot of emotions. He didn't seem to want to go on this adventure, and here he's being told to put your life at risk for someone that I feel like for the most part would just be a name in a history book to them. Like, I know it's important history to Albus because Harry is his father, but it's not like there's any emotional connection there. So the idea of being like, we're gonna go rush off and save him, like, well, why do we have to do this? Why what again, it's Scorpius seems to be the audience's voice of why is this happening?
I think you hit it right on the head. I think in a lot of ways Scorpius is the audience, and he's commenting on like, wait a second, what are we doing? And Albus is like the rocket heading this plot forward, and he's like, nope, we're doing it, we're going.
Which I'll give. I do see Harry in that aspect, because Harry does seem to rush towards danger a decent amount of times, and we saw it backfire, obviously, especially in book 5.
So you're saying Scorpius is like a little Hermione analog, kind of?
Well, at least that...
meant to, like, slow down?
At least that Albus is definitely a Potter, by what you might think otherwise. But I think the difference, at least, is Harry often tried to tell his friends, don't come along, because he wanted to keep them safe. Here, Albus is volunteering Scorpius for this adventure and not really giving him a say in the matter, which I don't like as much.
Albus outright emotionally blackmailed Scorpius into coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he's trying to do the same thing to Amos.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to emotionally manipulate him, too, to be like, okay, just...
Blood on your hands. Remember how you said those very important words?
But, like, going back to your point, that's such a change. Like, Harry cared about his friends and wanted to protect his friends a lot, and then you have Albus literally telling Scorpius, well, I'm probably going to die if you don't come along and save me.
Yeah.
That is a horrible thing to say to your friend.
I wonder if, again, going into normal teenage rebellion, is you're being told daily at school, probably, you're not like your father. You're not like your father in whatever ways. You're not as athletic, you're not as smart, you're not as talented, you're not whatever. You're not X, Y, and Z, like your father. Mm-hmm. And he might just go, you know what? I'm not. So you know what? Let's lean into it. If I'm not going to try to be my father anymore. I'm going to lean in to the Slytherin. I'm going to lean in to not Harry Potter. And maybe that's him leaning into a little bit more of his rebellious side. It's like, okay, if people want to label me this, maybe I'll just be this.
But why this? Like, why make this your...
It's not the right decision. I'm not saying it's the right decision.
I know.
I guess I have a hard time having it as him trying to separate himself from Harry when Harry is so present in his decision-making with this whole scenario. I have to prove that Harry could have been better, or I have to prove that Harry made a mistake. I have to prove that, I could be as good as Harry. To be like, I'm going to be different than my father, I guess, but the whole, like, rushing towards something that he has no real involvement in, still, I don't know.
I totally agree with you. How I'm going to choose to interpret it is I think he's looking for an answer to help himself cope, to help himself get through the next day, to feel better about himself. Clearly, I believe he's taken the wrong track to get there, but I don't think he even knows. I don't think he really knows what he wants, and I think he's combating Amos and a lot of Amos's questions about, why are you doing this? Why do you care about a private conversation that doesn't concern you? Why are you so willing to interfere in such a dangerous proposition? Why? And Albus deflects every time because he doesn't have a good answer. He doesn't know why. He just feels like he needs to go in a direction, and he's found a direction to go in.
I wouldn't have a problem with that on like on a base level of just like teenage boy makes rash decisions to try to figure out what he's doing, right? Like,
what a headline.
Applies to literally every teenage boy out there ever.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for several books.
Right. And there's not, I don't think that there's a problem with that. But from my perspective reading this, I want to be able to empathize with the main character. It's kind of, I was just sitting here thinking it's kind of funny that what we saw on Broadway had 90 minutes cut out of it. And we are reading like the full screenplay of it now. And even with those 90 minutes cut out of it, I don't feel like they did a good job making him a sympathetic character.
That's fair. When you were watching the stage play, though, did you have a easier time connecting with Albus, or did you find it not as problematic?
I think that that's hard because the way that I felt that they played him was that they played him intentionally over the top.
Yeah.
Whiny. And like over the top dramatic. And I think that...
Wouldn't that be in the writing here, though? Don't you find him over the top dramatic?
It doesn't come across like that to me.
Well, we still have Act 1, Scene 15 to get to. But before we do, I would like to open it up to all of you listening. Let us know what you think on all this.
Yeah. I mean, just because we're sitting here debating all of these things, like, we still enjoyed seeing it on Broadway.
It was a lot of fun.
We're not going to do a podcast.
I would go see it again.
We're not going to do a podcast on Harry Potter just to hate on Harry Potter. But I think there are some, like, actual, legitimate, valid criticisms to be made for this.
Yeah.
So let us know what you guys think. We're always interested to hear your guys' thoughts on our debates. Let us know what you think about the question on Albus's character growth and his motivations. And we're really clued into it. And obviously, we are still relatively early in this thing, so there's a long way to go still. So we will continue having these discussions.
I hope we inspire some fans to pick up the screenplay, though, and read along with us. Because I think it is... I do think that not enough people have read it. I mean, our poll said not many people
That's correct. The majority have not read it at all. And I completely agree with you. I think, hopefully, we encourage you to actually pick up and read it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to buy the book. If you're anti the author's current political statements, totally fine. We agree with you.
Libraries are great.
Libraries... secondhand books that you can get, half-price books, whatever, that you can get secondhand, third-hand, fourth-hand. I don't care. But I do encourage you to...
It might even be online, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah, somewhere.
Pick it up, read it, form your own thoughts and opinions on it.
And then tell us what they are.
And tell us what they are. We do have Act 1, Scene 15 to get to. It is a return to Harry and Ginny's house, specifically set in the kitchen. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny are all there eating together. And Hermione is setting the scene here, saying that I've assured the rumors about Scorpius are not coming from the Ministry of Magic. She's had conversations with Draco. Hey, Draco, I promise you, we're not leaking anything. We're not these stories are not coming from us.
The sports pages aren't being like, and Ireland wins again. By the way, Scorpius is Voldemort. And next week.
Ginny, specifically, now that you mentioned the sports section, Ginny says she actually wrote to Draco after Astoria had passed away, his wife, offering Scorpius a place to maybe come for Christmas or over presumably a break. But the owl came back with one simple, short, curt sentence. tell your husband to refute these allegations about my son once and for all. We clearly get Draco's motivations, if anything else. He's here to protect his son, bottom line.
I really like Ginny reaching out like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of, even if we've had a history in the past and I haven't loved every action that you've taken against me or my husband, if your son is hurting and he's best friends with my son and he might be the only friend he has, then let's put that aside and let's do what's best for our kids.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yep.
I like to live in a mini Draco redemption world.
I can hear the pain in your voice as you say that.
They're trying. They're trying to give Draco a lot of play here.
Yep.
Ron, however, comes in, and he seems to be a bit more dismissive about all of these warning signs that Hermione and Harry just held this meeting about. He says, well, what if the trolls are just having a party? What if giants are going to a wedding? What if your nightmares are more about your stress with Albus? The scar hurting because you're old, Harry.
I have two thoughts. Number one, he called Harry old.
Yeah, Harry caught that too.
He's an old man.
What is he, like 38 now?
I think he might be in his 40s at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow-up question. So when you guys were reading this, did you feel like this read as book run or movie run? Or a third different Ron?
I think it's a third different Ron, if I'm being 100% honest.
Some kind of combo. I mean, he started off saying how he doesn't like Draco accusing Hermione of anything, which would make sense for when a powerful woman is being accused of, like, cheating her way into a role of authority or getting the easy way out. And if you're the husband and you're like, no, she deserves it, of course you're going to be upset. So I get that.
Oh, that's fair.
The whole, like, him pointing out the obvious bit seems in character from the books of, you know, well, what if you guys are thinking too much or you're being out of the way? Like we said before that Ron's job in the trio seems to be like, let me point out the dumb solution kind of, or at least the obvious thing that the other two aren't thinking about. What struck me as different is first trying to, like, minimize Harry's scar pain, since he was the one who more often witnessed Harry having it than anyone else, I think, even Hermione. And then him, like, he's always been quicker to believe Voldemort-related stuff more than Hermione. So it seems weird for him to be like, you're just getting old. And then I would also think that of the three, even if they are all adults now in the Wizarding World, he still does have the most experience of being in the Wizarding World. So he would know that giants moving and the trolls doing whatever, like, trolls aren't going to a wedding. That doesn't seem in character of their essence. Like, he would know that this is weird stuff and we shouldn't be, like, dismissing it. This is something to pay attention to.
That was something that reminded me of movie Ron, just because they feel like they dumbed down movie Ron. So it's like, trolls to a wedding just is
like, if it's a funny one-liner, for sure.
Right.
Like, it's there to get a laugh out of the audience.
Right. Yeah, it felt out of place. But also, to your point, I feel like Ron usually was the one who would go to the scar hurting too. Like, I don't think there was ever a time that Harry said his scar hurt where like they were always so concerned about it.
Yeah.
While I agree with everything you said, I do enjoy him pointing out the fact that every time he sits down, he makes an oof noise.
I liked that as well.
Ron, I feel you on that. I get you.
Oof, my age.
I wonder, though, his connection to the Wizarding World, I wonder if it's him slipping into what wizards did before the Second Wizarding War, of like, he's gone. He's gone. Let's not say his name. Let's not bring it up. Let's not even bring up the idea that he's back.
I could see that.
Let's just smooth running. Let's just... Woo.
I like that interpretation.
If that's the case, when he says, you know, I'm not really scared of anything except Molly Weasley, like his mother, then sure, it could be him trying to be like, let's ignore that Voldemort guy. He's dead. Right? Yeah.
Well, I like that image, and I feel like that's the way he says it, because Hermione follows that up with the Minister of Magic at the time of the Second Wizarding War. And she says, I will not be Cornelius Fudge on this.
Even if it makes her unpopular.
Even if it makes her unpopular with Draco, specifically. But
good.
Yes, I think we can all acknowledge.
We love that.
That's a great stance to take. That is the appropriate stance. I will acknowledge I will acknowledge it because of my love of Rufus. She didn't say Rufus. She said Fudge. I'm just pointing it out. She said Fudge, not Rufus.
Wasn't Rufus only minister for like 6 months?
Because he was killed in office. Yes. Okay, to your point, yeah, I don't think Hermione wants to follow in Rufus's footsteps either with dying in office. Yeah. I don't think that's where she wants to go either. But to this point about alluding to incompetence.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to follow in Fudge's footsteps. Yeah. So that, I'm just saying.
Which is why I kind of like the idea of that first meeting being to the general public and not just the ministry officials. Because I could see her as being like, look, you should have the truth. Our best chance of avoiding Voldemort's return is to have all the facts out in the open. If you hear anything, you tell us, and then we can stop it before it happens. Because if we go down the Fudge path of like ignoring it until he returns, or even the Rufus path, because unfortunately his situation followed Fudge's, of, well, now that we know he's here, now we react. Maybe instead of being reactionary to it, we need to be offensive and stop it before it becomes a thing.
Right. So, again, her alluding to Fudge being like, don't want to do that again. Let's not do that again. At that moment, an owl enters the room, dropping a letter from Professor McGonagall onto Harry's plate. And Harry does not react well to this letter, and ultimately says, it's Albus and Scorpius. They never made it to school. They're missing.
Now you say he didn't react well.
His face.
Did you take it as like anger? Because I took it more as no. Fear.
It's fear. No, 100% it's fear.
Okay.
His face, like, kind of, I think it describes his face as like drooping a little bit. I'm assuming it's full father fear. My kid is missing. This is not obviously good. And that's where the scene ends, and that's where it wraps up. So
he's gonna be in trouble. Send some followers their way.
At this point, I was originally going to get Jen's thoughts on her reread, but I think we've substantially collected all of her thoughts.
Yeah, I think we covered them.
I think we covered it pretty well. I will assume that Scorpius is a highlight for you early in the book.
Scorpius. He's hilarious.
Really is fun.
I think you've been looking for a Slytherin redemption of some Slytherin that shows signs of being good.
Yes.
And nice to read about.
Yes.
And brings pleasant. A little joy to a Slytherin.
And a person.
I think Scorpius underlines that.
Yes.
Tenfold.
Your background does not define you. It's your choices, it's your actions, it's your words, and your emotions, and how you show that care. And he does that really well.
Yep. I think we can all agree, whether it's in this book, in the actual written word, or on the stage play, I think Scorpius is a stellar highlight.
Show. Yes.
He's a stellar highlight.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Finally, some very clear, positive Slytherin representation.
We will end on Jen's happy note. Thank you all for listening. Once again, please interact with us. Let us know all of your thoughts. You can do so by, again, commenting on this episode on Spotify or participating in the poll that's associated with it. Or let us know by commenting on all of our socials. Again, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube. You can find us all at Hogwarts a Pod. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back again with more Harry Potter and the Cursed Child soon. Thank you for listening to Hogwarts, a podcast. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button on your preferred podcasting app and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hogwarts a Pod.